Howdy folks, welcome back to another how-to tutorial. Today we got the wife's 2011 Ford Expedition EL Limited. It's time to do the front rotors and pads. Without further ado, let's get into it. I'm going to show you step by step how to get into all this and replace the rotors and the pads. I'll also show you how to do the caliper, how to remove it, and how to everything back together, just in case you're having to do that as well. First things first, you're going to want a floor jack and jack stands. Alright, so you get your floor jack. Your jack stand's ready. You're gonna want to refer to the manual for sure on where the jacking point is, but I just look for where the frame is closest to the wheel. So we're just gonna get these broken free real quick. Oh my. There we go. Gonna burn my breaker bar here. There we go. So first things first is just we're gonna wanna get this caliper off. So we're gonna remove the two bolts that hold the caliper to the bracket. There's one on top, one on bottom. So I regret to inform everyone that we are not allowed to use Freedom units on this. 1/2 inch is just slightly too small, but we will get it with a 13 millimeter. Looking in here, we got this top one. Go ahead and break that free. Just spin that off, pull it out. Small little bolt. Set that to the side where you're not going to lose it. Then we got the other one down below. So now we're going to go for that bottom bolt. It's right down here at the base. Go ahead and get that one. Alright, so now your caliper should be free from the bracket. So we're just going to wiggle that back and forth best you can. If yours is not as easy as mine just was, go ahead and get yourself a flathead screwdriver and go ahead and just wedge it in on the front side of the pad and the caliper and wiggle it back and forth like this. And eventually it'll give enough room, pushing the pistons back in. Just set your caliper up out of the way. You don't want the hose to be pinched at all. Show you what I got here. Just kind of moved it up out of the way, set it there on top of the dust shield, heat shield, whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna get this pad out. And that flathead screwdriver will come in handy there too. And yes, this is why I have burning brakes. You can see they're starting to glaze over. That is not what we want. Those are smooth as could be. Oh baby, no wonder I'm not getting as much braking force. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna need a screwdriver or hammer for that one. Oh baby, come on. That one's in there. Let's see if I can get it out real quick. Woo! There we go. Oh, she was a little stuck. All right, so see, we got the so where the pistons sit into it. There's a bunch of extra grease, probably from when it was applied. That's probably just from when I was just prying on it right now. But same thing, this is just smooth as could be. I mean, it looks like ice. Yes, and then there's a spot it was burning in. There's plenty of pad left, though. That's what drives me nuts. Maybe I shouldn't drive this like a race car. That would probably fix a lot of the problem. So you come in back behind here. Back pad, your inner pad was here, your outer pad was on this side of the rotor. So this is where you took off the connection for the caliper itself. Back behind it, that bolt right there, and the other one down below, down there at the bottom. We're going to take those off, and those will come out. That'll release your bracket from the hub. This one is a standard. We can use Freedom units, 13/16 for these back bolts that hold the bracket on. Okay, so just back that out until it's close to the end, and then we're going to get the bottom one unthreaded. That way the bracket doesn't just completely fall out, because you can see how loose it has gotten. It's taking the top one out. So be holding the bracket while you loosen off the other one. Those babies are out. They can just stay right there, kind of sitting in place so that you're ready for reinstallation. Now you got your bracket free. I'm going to show you how to clean this up, put the new clips in, and then we'll replace the rotor. So your new pads, depending on the trim level, if you will, the golds come with these new clips that insert down here. Honestly, you don't really need to replace these if they're still in decent condition, but I have new ones, so I'm going to do that. So we're just going to pop these out with the flathead screwdriver that we had before. Go ahead and try to get underneath there a little bit and pry up. There we go. Got this side. Sometimes they're easy enough, they just push right out. That's nice. Other times they're rusted, like the rotor and hub were. So now we're just going to clean up these areas real quick. Just to get it free of all the rust and contaminants. Do the same to the other side. And now, if you got some anti-seize, go ahead and put that on here, or some brake grease. Helps to keep these from corroding, and you'll fit in a little bit easier. So we're going to go ahead and put the little tab on the right there on the outside of each part. Go ahead and just line that up. Best way might be this, and then push forward and down so you hear that little click. Now that one's in. And we're going to do the same for the other side. See how the opposite, those little hooks are on that side. Oops. There's another one. All right, those shims or clips are in. Now we're going to reinstall this bracket onto our hub. So now you have access to get your rotor off. A lot of times they'll have T-bit screws holding rotors on. Doesn't look like these ones do. This should just come free. It's probably rusted to the hub pretty good, so I'm just going to give it a few whacks with the hammer to try and bust it free. If you're dealing with a stubborn rotor like this that isn't coming off, if you don't have one of those Torx screws holding this on, you got just a standard one like this. It does come with these holes. They are threaded, so you can insert a screw into there and it will push against the hub on the back side, pushing the rotor off. All right, so grab yourself a 3/8 thread bolt that you don't mind sacrificing, and we're gonna just thread that into there. I'm gonna take my impact and drive that on, and then that should push this off. So mine is a 9/16 head and a 3/8 size thread. Oops, I want to take that in. And that is one way to get that rotor off if it is completely seized on. Hope everybody enjoyed that as much as I did. Oh, baby. Oh, sheet crustified on the back. Look at this. Oh my gosh, and it is burning up on the back. Look at that. Yeah, okay, the brakes were bad. Love it. Now you can do your inspection around all the parts. I'm gonna clean all that debris out of there and get a little air tool, spray that out of there. Take a wire wheel, if you can, to the hub surface and get all this rust off and cleaned. I'm going to do the best I can, and then we're going to slap the new rotor on. So today we're going to be using Duralast brand gold, part number 42251DG for the front rotor, and part number DG1414 for the brake pads. These do come coated with a black finish, and that is just protecting against rust. When the pads start to hit the actual rotor spot, that will be eaten away. So a good way of showing what I'm talking about, it's this Z-clad coating that they do. You can pause it and read that if you wish, but that's what I'm talking about. Once it heats up, burns off that Z coating, everything will be coated and still protected from rust except for where it's braking, which is always actuated when you're driving. So that's fine. Normally when you get a new rotor, it's shiny metal, not black like this, and there is a oily finish all over it that you will need to wipe off with some brake clean. This doesn't have it because it's that Z coating, so I can just slap it right on. I don't need to use brake clean on it, which is handy. So let's slap this on. And once we get the bracket back on here, it'll hold this in place a little bit better. And then once we have the caliper and pads on, it'll all be together. It won't be wobbly like this. The way it slides back into place. Get that lined up best we can real quick. I'm going to try and line up the bottom bolt while I go retrieve the Z-top bolt. Oh, come on now. Be nice. Let's get a few threads on there until it's somewhat snug. I'm going to go get that other bolt. All right, then we're going to line up our top one. Get that inserted and started. Take it down as far as you can with your fingers. That way it's not so much to do with the ratchet. It will even out the where the rotor sits because the bracket tightens down in a single spot, so you don't need to worry about that being lopsided. So after you get them tightened down decently, we're going to torque these to 180 foot-pounds of torque if you have a torque bar. On that part number, they come with inner and outer pads for each side. We have the inner and outer. This one does have right hand, left hand apparently, so there's that too. I'm going to line it up with the curvature of the rotor. We're going to slide this little fin into that notch of the clip, line the other one up, and slide that on there. The rotor will get seated better once the caliper is holding that on and the lug nuts are there. Another tip, you can put a lug nut on here so that it stops moving the rotor on the opposite side. It'd be a little handy so you're not fighting it constantly. But now we're going to take our inner, or the passenger side, right hand, and insert that the same way we did with the front. Get that little tab in there, and then the one on the back side. So you're going to want to, in order to fit the caliper back on the new pads, because these pistons do go in, you're going to want to take one of your old pads, just drop that in there, get yourself a C-clamp somewhere, and we're just going to, they do make a tool that does this equally, but this has always worked for me. Try and get that in the center the best you can, and when you compress, it will push the pistons down. And there we go. So now we got the pistons back in. So now, should look like that. A little more flush when we're done. We're just gonna slide this back over top of your new pads. You might still need to put them in a little further if you have too much resistance, like I'm having. So I'm gonna try and get those pushed in just a little bit more, and then we'll get this slid on. But simple as that, it should just go right on. You might need to take a hammer, tap it off back at this caliper, preferably in the center here, where strongest points, gently, and then it'll slide on. So I was able to push the pistons in just a little bit more with that C-clamp, and it was able to slide on. Be sure you're not forcing it on. These pins need to come back in like this. So be pulling that in the top and bottom, because this bracket is gonna try and hit them. So once you get that lined up, we're gonna grab those bolts from before, small ones at the beginning. I'm gonna line those up, line the caliper up a little bit better. You might need to wiggle it just slightly. Get that lined in there. And then you can tighten this down. And now we're just gonna reinstall our wheel and tire. Line up your studs, put the wheel on, and we're good to go. Folks, thanks for joining me for another how-to tutorial. If you found this video helpful or useful, please leave us a like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel and the business. It means I can bring more content like this to you. If you have any tips or tricks that would have made this even easier, please leave it down in the comments, and I'll be sure to pin it so that others can see it right off the bat. That way we're helping each other out. Until next time, as always, take care, God bless, peace.